Hello, everyone. So, we are waiting for our speakers for today to join us. I believe they will join us any minute from now. So, please stay on the call. Today, we'll be getting presentations from at least four speakers. So, get ready to learn something new. It's nearly 5 minutes delay. Nearly 5 minutes delay. Maybe we'll start paying fine. We are late. We pay fine. Abi, what do you think? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for coming late. Oh. God bless you. Okay, so who is going first?
It's not like that. It's not like that.
Who is going first? Going first. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the second presentation for April mentorship session. I believe that we have speakers for both groups reading Eat That Frog and reading Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Please do well to drop comments, and if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, it's very important you do so, right? Yeah, it's very important, and it's important to share with your friends and other nurses and health professionals around you. So I believe we already have the speakers for today on board. There are 4 people. I can see 4 people ready to speak. So who is ready to go first? If you're ready to go, unmute your mic and start. If you're taking the first few chapters, you should be the one to go first, right?
Yes.
Please, can you hear me?
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
I'm
My
fine.
name is
Hi, Zelisa. Are you the
you
one
from
beside
group.
me?
I'll be talking on Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. So I'll be taking chapter 1 to 5.
Who is speaking? What's your name? Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Oricha Nafisat, Group 2B.
Okay. Okay, welcome.
Yes, one. So I'll be speaking on Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. So I'll be speaking on chapter 1 to 5. So chapter 1 of the book talked about set that table. So it's about clarity. For you to achieve anything in life, you need to know what you want to achieve first. You need to get a clear picture of what you want to do what you want to achieve in the future. Then after getting what you want to achieve in the future, then you first thing you do is decide on what you want to do, which is the first step. You decide on what you want to do. Then after deciding on what you want to do, then you write it down, maybe on a paper. Then you write all your goals down on the paper. After writing it down, then you decide on your goal, decide a deadline for the goal. Then you make a list of everything that you have to do to achieve that particular goal. Then you organize it based on priority. Then you take actions immediately. Then chapter 2 talked about plan everything in advance. It means you have to, after thinking on paper, you have to list your goals. Then you make a list of everything you want to do. After making your list, then you divide it based on monthly, weekly, and daily lists. Because they said an action taken without planning is a cause of failure. And 10% of your time you spend on planning, 10% of time you spend on planning and organizing your work helps you save time when you start doing that particular task. So you need to plan before taking any step on any task. Then chapter 3 talked about applying the 80/20 rules on everything. It is stated that 20% of our activities usually account for 80% of our results. This means that when you have a list of goals you want to achieve, maybe you have 10 tasks you want to achieve. you discover that 20% of those tasks, which is 2 of that particular 10 lists you have,
What is
usually
that?
are usually the most important one. And those important ones are those things that people tend to procrastinate because they seems to be the most hardest and the difficult and complicated tasks to do. So people tend to resist and shy away from those particular tasks. So, and for you to eat that frog, you need to focus on that 20% because it serves as the main goal, or it serves as the main goal for you to achieve everything you have on your list. So you need to take those harder tasks first before you move to the less complicated ones. Then chapter 5 and chapter 4 talked about consider the consequences. So after clarity comes the planning, you think on paper. Then the next thing you do is identify the most important task that has potential consequences in the future. That is, once you identify those tasks that has potential consequences, you have to think deep into the goals and the task, because whatever decision you are going to take will have either positive or negative consequence in the future. So you need to think and be a deep thinker. You sit down to think about everything on your list. Then you go for the one that will have a long-term positive consequence. Or if you tend not to go for those ones and you choose to go for other tasks that are less important, you discover that maybe later you start having a long-term negative consequence. Then chapter 5 talked about for you to apply the ABCDE rules on everything you do. So you have to make a list. After you make a list of all your tasks that you want to achieve, then you start by identifying them, place them on each categories. If they are A, if they are B, if they are C, if they are D and E. You have to place them on each categories. So once you place them on A, the A of the rule states that the A is for important tasks, meaning those are things that only you can do. No one can do it for you. Those ones are those ones that only you can do, that you can't delegate it to other people. Then the B talked about what should be done. It says that these tasks are those tasks that should be done, but although they have mild consequence, that is, if you don't do them, there are some people that might be unhappy. Maybe if your friend called you and you missed the call, then later you have to call back to comply for the task you missed for not picking their call. Then the C talked about what should be nice to do. Those are those tasks that have little or no consequence at all. Those are those tasks that you should do but do not have consequences. Like maybe you have a dinner date, you have to meet up with friends, you have a hangout with your family. Those are those tasks that you should do, but though they have no consequence attached to it. Then the D talked about delegating someone to do it. This means that those are those tasks that you can delegate to other people to do. That is, there are other people that can do that particular task. So in order for you to have enough time to do your A list task, so you delegate it to other people to do those tasks, so that you have enough time to do the task for the most important task. Then he talked about the E task. These ones are less important tasks and it can be easily eliminated, meaning you might want to do it and you might not want to do it. Those ones are just for your own personal, maybe for fun. Maybe you need to hang out at a park, or just watch a movie, do something that you can just say, okay, since I don't have time, let me just forgo this one and do other important tasks. So you have to make a list and do everything in order. I think that's that for chapter summary of chapter 1 to 5. Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Well done, Nafisat Oricha. Thank you for that presentation. That was a good summary. Though I believe that you left out a lot of important information, but to meet up with time, that's the best we can do. So I want to give
Yes.
us a comment. Based on what Nafisat has presented, I want all of us to write something from chapter 1 to 5 that is important that she did not present. Um you drop it in the comment section. That's Iyanu Oluwagaruba Oluwatoyin. I'm not sure of the Oluwatoyin. Is it
Ma,
Arifayan?
yes, this is Arifayoma.
Okay, welcome. And
Thank you,
Mesoma
Mama. Please, can I go next?
Somachuku, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, I was asking, like, can I go next for my presentation? Because I'm hiding out
Yes,
at work.
yes, you can. Please just give me a minute.
Okay.
So the people
Thank
who
you.
listening, I can see Victoria Dare and Nurse Ajayi Feintola drop a comment about something in 1 to 5 that she did not mention, and that is very important. So please, I need us to pay attention to the presenters, right? Okay, so you can go, Oluwatoyin, please. You can
Okay, ma.
start.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. Good evening, everyone. My name is Oluwatoyin, and I'm presenting on behalf of Reading Group 1B. Our focus book is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and I'll be talking about Habit 1 and Habit 2. So, Habit 1 talks about how we should be proactive. As an individual, you're responsible for your life, your decisions, not just your condition, but you're responsible to determine your path. You can't put a blame of bad decisions on other people or circumstances. For instance, you can't say the reason why you're like this is because your family is like this. You are the one to determine. You have to be proactive. You have to be the main actor or main actress in your story. Right. So you have to be proactive in determining your path in life. Proactive people, they take responsibility for their actions and their emotions. They focus on their circle of influence. There's something in habit one that talks about circle of influence. That is the things you can control rather than circle of concern. And the circle of concern are those things that you can't control it. It is you can't control it. So if, for instance, you came from maybe a dysfunctional family, or your parents had a divorce, or all those kind of things, you can't control those kind of things. So you shouldn't sit and make those your problem, what you want to solve, what you like, the matter in your mind that will be draining your energy, draining your strength, when you're supposed to focus on your circle of influence. Those are the things that you can control. You've seen, oh, this is the pattern. I'm not going to follow this pattern. This is what they don't do right in this house. I'm going to be the best and I'm going to do it right. So they choose their response to situations. They don't just react. You don't just every single thing you react, something happens, you are hungry, you burst out. I mean, you can, I think, even for me as well, that is something that even in my personal work with God, that's something that I'm learning. You can't just be reacting to things. Your energy, I remember from the book you read the other month, that's the book that talks about, um I'm trying to remember. I don't know why I'm forgetting. Bright Brown Tracy, eat your frog, right? Yes. You can't. Your energy is, it should be guarded. The same way that I'm sorry for those of us who are maybe not understanding scriptures or when I'm quoting scriptures, but for those that can understand, you will understand. There's a scripture that says, guard your heart, for from it flows the issues of life. So your energy should be guarded. You can't come and everybody that comes steps on your toe, you go and, you know, fight with them, drain your energy. You now have to think, how will I beg this person? How will I apologize to this person? You don't waste your energy on things that don't matter. You only guard your energy for things that matter. If an issue is coming up, if there's a way you can go about it to avoid that issue, to not allow it to happen, so that you can guard your energy, you have to be able to guard your energy if you are being proactive in your life. And language matters too, in being proactive, in being a proactive person. You will say things like I will, I can, instead of I have to, or they won't let me. If I want to do this thing now, they won't let me. If I want to do this now, like just trying to put blames, try to make circumstances the reason why you are not showing up, the reason why you are not doing what you are supposed to do. So, for example, another example is, maybe for instance, you are going to work. If you are left home early, you will get there earlier rather than saying that the reason why you, maybe you now left late, you now met traffic. Instead of saying I came late because of traffic, why not be responsible to actually leave earlier and get to work earlier? Habit 2 talks about begin with the end in mind. So every single thing that you do, you have to have a vision. Beside this mentorship, there has to be an end that you have in mind, that when I'm living here, I'm not living the same. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be more responsible. I'm going to be a branded nurse, not just an ordinary nurse. So you have to start with a clear vision of every journey, everything that you want to do in mind. You are the creator of your life, first mentally, then physically. We all know how powerful our minds are. If you don't, there are some things that if you've not been able to conceive it in your mind, you can never see it in the physical. That's just the principle. So you have to have a personal mission statement. What matters most to you, the kind of person that you want to be in life. It helps you with intentional living and decision making. You have to align your daily actions with long-term values and goals. So if you want to be a better person, you have to be able to, you want to be a better person, you want to be more consistent, you want to be more gentle, you want to be kinder, you want to be, we're all working to be better people in our lives, even in our relationships, right? So if you want to be a better person, you have to be able to shape your habits, your choices, and your conversations to reflect that goal. You can't say you want to do this year. You've written the things you want to do. This is what I'm going to do. This, I'm going to work out. I'm going to exercise. You can't just, wake up every. You can't be waking up every day and you have excuses as to why you are not working out, as to why you are not, moving on with your fitness goals and all of that. So yeah, God help us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. That was an amazing presentation. Well done, Nursery Fire. So you are free to attend to your to your work now. Thank you. That was a nice one. So if you're listening and you're watching, whether now or later, please do well to drop a comment based on anything you feel Nursery Fire did not present or did not mention in our presentation. That is from habit 1 and habit 2, right? I believe we understand that. So Nurse Fentola, if you can hear me, kindly post that assignment, right? Post that assignment. Yeah, going on after this presentation, the next presentations we'll be having will be like a debate. We'll be having a pro and con and groups so that everybody will be on their foot, right? So who is the next person going for? Who is the next person presenting tonight? Is it Mesoma or Garba?
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I know being heard. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Who is greeting? Is that Miss Summer?
Okay, I've been greeting since. I don't think anybody was there. Bye. Good
Okay.
evening, ma'am. Good evening,
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
I'm to present chapter 7, the seventh habit. I don't know if I should go ahead since it's not according.
Yes, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you. So this habit 7. My name is Besa Machuku Unduka. I'm in group 1B and I'm presenting the 7 habits of effective people. I'm presenting this habit 7, which is sharpen the saw. Sharpen, to sharpen something, the saw, that instrument that you use to saw wood or to saw whatever it is you want to saw. And in a quick definition, sharpening the saw, according to the author, basically means expressing all 4 motivations in a wise and balanced way. Now, what are these 4 motivations? The author made it known to us that every theory it is that you can think of, whether it's by a person, by a philosopher, whichever walk of life, always amounts to 4 particular things, which is the spiritual, the mental, the social, and the physical. These philosophers might use different words, but if you should align it, it would always fall back to these 4 motivations: the spiritual, the physical, the social, and the mental. Can you still hear me? Let me be sure I'm not talking to
Yeah, go
myself.
ahead. You can hear you clearly.
Okay, so we'll go straight. So sharpening the soul is basically exercising all 4 dimensions of this nature regularly and consistently in a wise and balanced way. It is arguably the most important habit, or one of the most important habits. It's something that you can't do without to become an effective person. Starting from the physical dimension, this is basically referring to our physical body, caring for ourselves through what we are eating, through exercising. The writer um hits exercising, focused on it a lot more in his book, but generally the physical part is our body. He said even getting sufficient rest, relaxing, eating the right kind of food. Exercising is one of those high leverage activities that it brings about a lot of things. He said it helps train your mind. A good exercise program, one that you can do in your home. No excuses this time around. You can't say I don't have the right equipment, I don't have any special trainer, I don't know how to do this. He said no. Walking, jogging, taking walks, moving around, doing an exercise regime in your house, dancing, that those pass, all those things can pass off as exercise. That exercise can build your body in 3 ways: through endurance, flexibility, and strength. And if you tackle this physical dimension out of these 4 motivations and you build endurance, you build flexibility, you build strength, other than it building your physical, it also renews your mind. The second dimension is the spiritual dimension. He said spiritual dimension is more or less like giving your life to something. Something is leading your life. It talks about providing leadership in your life. That this life that you're living, there is a being or there is a power that is overseeing it, that is superseding your own power. So for us that are Christians, it's basically talking about going to God, or going to who you think is your maker and whose leadership you are following. Then if you're on other religion, whatever it is that basically what you believe in, that is what the spiritual dimension is talking about. He told us of a story of a man that was not feeling too well and went to his doctor and prescriptions were not working, and the doctor had to tell him that what is wrong with you now? If I treat it this particular way, are you going to obey all the instructions that I'm going to give you? And he was like, of course, why not? He said, okay, no drugs, pack your bags, go to a place where you're not going to talk to anybody, somewhere that calms you, somewhere that relaxes you, or something like that. He said he should just spend it in a place where he has happy memory. The happiest he has been as a child, he should go there and spend it. And he was like, what do you mean by that? But he went because he wanted to get better. So he gave him 4 prescriptions and told him he should open it at an interval of 4 hours. The first prescription, he opened it, he said, listen carefully. So no further instruction, just listening. So he sat in that place, no human interaction. He was listening. At first, it was uncomfortable, but the more he listens, the more he heard things that he has never heard before. Whether it is the waves, the water, he understood how calming water, the water body was. He understood maybe the laughter of people around, the birds in the air, the rustling of the trees, all those things were making sense to him. He started feeling something. After a couple of hours, he opened the next prescription. It said, try reaching back. Basically, go back to a memory, something that you've buried in, that you've probably forgotten. Whether it is your happiest, just think about it. And he reached back to when he was in that place when he was younger, all the happy memories that came with it, and all those things. After a couple of hours, he opened the third paper. It said, examine your motives. Now, this is one of the major parts of this spiritual dimension. It says, when you examine your motive, especially as maybe someone that is in the workforce, and you find out that the reason why you are pursuing this money, the reason why you are pursuing this career is not to serve others, but to serve yourself, then your motive is wrong. So he said that was the most difficult prescription for the man, because when they told him examine his motive, he became defensive. That after all, I'm supposed to get this. After all, I'm supposed to get that. But after a while, it's hours, so he has to calm down. And he found out that his motive for whatever it is was pursuing in life was wrong. Maybe that was one of the reasons why he wasn't feeling well, and nothing could just make him get better. And after he went through that prescription, he got to the last one, which said that he should just write out all his worries. And immediately he could picture everything that was worrying him, and he wrote it down. And he went back to the doctor and he was a whole lot better. So the spiritual dimension is just finding that space. If it is God that you are going through this prescription process with, as the writer says, he's going to God with his own prescription. You go to God and you get a semblance of when you pray and you feel better. That's what the spiritual dimension is. Then the next dimension is the mental dimension. Now, this dimension is is much more than going to school, something that moves your brain. He says most people, after the normal formal education process, they quit learning. Once they are done, whether it's university, they are done. They now go on and be watching movies. Even if they are working, they are probably watching movies. And he spoke about television being one of the highest retardation of mental growth, that we should cut our screen time, one. And then again, other ways which you can use to improve your mental dimension is to be a constant learner. Like our mentor here, she's a constant learner. She's always taking one course or the other. She's taking furthering her education, something to keep the brain consistently active. That is a habit of an effective person. You should be a constant learner. You should be willing to learn something, even in your field. You cannot know it all. Something new comes out, you learn it. He said you should read. You should be an average reader. Pick up a good literature book like we are reading now. That it is one of the habits of an effective person. You should also be a writer. Journal, write out things, write out your thoughts, things that cross your mind. All these things are part of constantly building your mental dimension. You cannot just limit it to formal education. It should be a continuous process. Then the last dimension is the social emotional dimension. Now, the habits 4, 5, 6 is kind of summarized in this emotional dimension. If in my own words, let me put it this way. He just said that this world is like a mirror. Everybody is tied in one. cultural, when we say what society thinks ahead, there's a societal definitions of things in the world. And whether we like it or not, we are involved inside. And it's like a mirror. Everybody is like a mirror. What you are reflecting to somebody else. What's what somebody is seeing when they're looking at you as the mirror is very, very important. So if you are a mirror and somebody comes to you in your interaction and the person is being reflected as negative, is being reflected as something horrible, that is deliberating or delipidation of your social emotional dimension. So you should be able to reflect something positive. You should always be in a state of a positive state. You should be optimistic. You should be reflecting the best in people. You should not be bad behaviors, basically. Habits 4, 5, 6 talks about communication, effective communication, kind of. He said he gave an example. You want to discuss something with somebody now, and the two of you are at different walks in life. Maybe you are a way younger person and your partner is way old. So your point of view is already different. You start by understanding that win-win situation exists, which means nobody's way is right, not mine, not theirs. My way is my way, my partner's way is their way. So for that reason, this conversation we're about to have is not one of trying to say you are wrong or I'm wrong. Is
Hello,
one of trying
Dr.
to
Sorry to
understand.
cut you
Yeah.
short. I have to go now. Right? I have to go now. I will resend another link in the next 1 hour. Right? So sorry, everyone. This is an emergency.